Welcome to Heartland Darkland. I'm Cassie.
And I'm Shannon.
Hey, Dark
Dark
Hearts.
Hearts.
We're back again. It's been a hectic week. It's been disgustingly cold, and our children haven't had school. Well, I guess yours, I don't know. Millard was so weird. There was a few schools
So
that did a
stupid.
2-hour late start on the coldest day of the week.
Did they think that 2 hours was going to make a difference? And did they think that it was warmer over in Millard and the other areas than it was?
Right, than Omaha?
Yeah, I don't know. That was the dumbest thing.
Yeah.
I did hear that they said it was because kids needed their iPads, but I was like, because in Millard, Wednesdays are short days for elementary schools anyway.
Right.
So they're like, cool, our kids went to school for 4 hours,
Plus, there was a lunch in there, so it was like...
Yeah, right.
Also...
And recess and,
couldn't they have, because, I know when because OPS was already out that Monday for President's Day.
Yeah, same with us.
But there was a thing once they called school saying, hey, the principal's going to be at the, for our school at least, being the principal's going to be at the school for a bit if anyone needs iPads and stuff. So I'm like, why didn't they just do that?
Right. During COVID, they did that because, people had to go pick up shit all the time because whatever,
Yeah, so just be from this window to this window,
right.
Someone will be there. You can come get those, and then...
Well, and they usually are pretty lenient. If you can't get your e-learning done or whatever, then we'll give you a couple extra days. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
I don't even know, but it was stupid. But then we're out today. We'll be back, I'm sure, tomorrow. And, it's just it's that weird time. It feels like that time between Christmas and New Year's where you don't know what day it is or what's happening. And so...
Well, and February's already a shorter month. And then, my kids only had, 1 full week of school in February anyways, because then the week that this comes out, they're only in school Monday through Wednesday. And then they're off Thursday and Friday because of parent-teacher conferences.
It's wild.
The week before that, when we're recording, they haven't been... Friday will be the only day they go to school, and my son was like, they might as well just not have us go.
I know.
And on the one hand, I'm like, I kind of agree, but also
I get it,
I have clients that I've moved so many people between Wednesday and Thursday that I can't afford to move them again.
That's where I'm like, I think kids need routine, and being at home all the time is also not great. So I'm like, no, my kid needs to go. I was annoyed yesterday that I had to do all that, but I was like, nope, that was actually good. It was good because I can't. So, anyway.
Yeah, no, it's, which I'm like, okay, it's winter. I get it. But now, the week that this is, again, coming out, it's supposed to be in the 50s.
I know. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Yep. Next week, 56. I was like, cool. My birthday was negative 1,000 degrees. And then literally 1 week from my birthday, it is 56 degrees. Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
So I was
you gotta love it, right?
Yeah. So that's where we're at. Good old Heartland, I suppose.
You gotta love that fun Nebraska weather.
It's the best. No.
But so that's where we're at in life right now. Hopefully, if you're in an area that was getting that, you guys have stayed warm too.
Yes,
it's just
totally.
It's been a hot mess. So, but you ready for me to dive right in, I guess?
Yeah, I'm ready. I know you had mentioned on our last one, it's a paranormal one, so those are always fun. So I'm excited.
Yes. Yeah, I just, like I said, I needed something a little lighter. We haven't done paranormal in a minute.
Yeah, we really haven't. So
no, and this one is going to be shorter, which is kind of, like we've said before, a nice change of pace.
Right.
Yeah, so we are going to Mackinac Island, Michigan, which is located on is it Huron?
Huron, I say Huron.
Yeah,
Huron. Huron.
Yeah. And I will say, and I'll come to this later, but I watched an episode of Ghost Hunters, and
right,
yeah. So it'll be in the show notes, but it was on Amazon Prime, season 7, episode 6.
Okay.
But so when I was just looking at the name of this island, I thought it was Mackinac, because of how it's spelled, and then when they kept calling it Mackinac, I'm like, there is an AC at the end of this. How do we get an aw sound?
Right.
I'll come into it because I did actually find an explanation for that.
Okay. Because that makes no sense.
Back to that. Yeah. But apparently this whole island is said to be haunted. However, today I'm just really focusing on the Mission Point Resort. Maybe we'll come back and do some of the others, later on. But for right now, I was like, let's just focus on one area.
Yeah, for sure.
But I will give a little history on the island itself. obviously this is going to be like the bare minimum history. So I have some like notes linked as well. But long before there were any like settlers from the, Europe, this was actually a sacred place to several indigenous tribes. It was used as a sacred burial ground, as well as a place for fishing and trapping. And like as they navigated like the waterways, the northern waterways there, like this island was used a lot. So because of that, because it was an indigenous people's island first, the name itself is a shortened version of the French settlers' interpretation of this, which that was spelled out. And I was like, I'm not going to try to pronounce what the French said it was.
We'll just go with it. Yep.
Yeah. So that's which the name for the indigenous people meant the great turtle because they thought the island kind of looked like a turtle. So that's why, despite looking like it should be pronounced Mackinac, it is Mackinac.
Okay.
I was like, okay.
Good little lesson there today, cultural lesson. Okay.
And I guess like there is a Mackinac City, and it is spelled N-A-W. And I'm like, so okay. I don't.
Right. Who makes up these things, and why do they have to make it more complicated?
Right?
Didn't they foresee people would pronounce it wrong for the rest of its existence?
You would think so. Starting in like the 1620s, this is when the island ended up having a bunch of different settlers. First, it was the French, and then there were Catholic missionaries. Then eventually the British took it, and then, the Americans got it. So there are actually still a lot of historic sites on the island today as well. And like you can visit and like kind of get that like 19th century feel to it and stuff. And it is actually a very popular like vacation destination during the warmer months.
Okay.
But during the winter and like colder months, it is the off season. Sounds like it's almost a ghost town. There's very few people there, which would make sense because cars are not allowed on this island.
Yeah.
So you either walk, ride bikes, or you can rent like horse-drawn carriages or rent horses to get around the island. And Michigan,
that's super old school.
Yeah, it's gonna be a super cold place,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That doesn't even sound appealing to be there in the winter unless you're there to like hide a body is kind of what I would be
Except
thinking,
in the ground's too frozen.
That's true. Yeah. So no, just don't go.
No,
just stay away. Pick a different vacation spot.
Right. Although I will say in the off season, you could stay at some of these, like the Mission Point Resort is going to be significantly cheaper to stay at. So if you were going just for like one or two places for a day or two to like try to do a paranormal type thing, maybe. And so to get there, you either have to take a boat or a plane because they do have a little and it's like one of those tiny little planes,
Yeah. No, thank you.
So actually, like when watching Ghost Hunters, it was winter, so it was off season. So like, I'm pretty sure they like cleared out like the Mission Point Resort for this and everything. And the boat they went on, like the guy was telling them that the ice on the lake was 6 inches, and that was like just the amount, like the boat could still break through that, but that was like as thick as it could break through. So anything past that was only going to be getting them out of there by airplane. And like Steve, one of the investigators, is like deathly afraid of planes.
Yeah, so he was like, understandable right about now too.
Yeah, and they were like, so like, do you still want to come? And he's like, no, I really want to go, but like, if I stranded there for a few weeks or a month, like whatever, I don't care. But he ended up leaving like a day or two earlier than the rest of the crew because they were like, this is going to be the last boat out for the season. And he was like, yeah,
it's your chance.
I'm leaving. Yes.
Yep.
So now the Mission Point Hotel was built in like 1825 by missionary Christians. I'm not sure how long that was their thing, but apparently during its early years, there was a tuberculosis outbreak that affected many children. And so they kept them in a cellar to kind of like protect the rest of the population. And unfortunately, very few of the children survived.
Sad. Ew.
Yeah.
And just ick. I mean,
yeah. And it sounds like this kind of became a bunch of different places throughout time. And then in the 1960s, it became the home of an evangelical pastor. Is that what they go by? I don't remember. Like church head.
Yeah.
And like pastor. He even had like a theater in there and stuff so he could give sermons or whatever. And then for a very short time, as in only 4 years, it was a college.
Yes. Okay.
And so like the rooms and stuff
did all the things,
like the dorm rooms and stuff, and then it became a hotel.
That would make more sense, but yeah, a college, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Just try it all out.
I mean, I guess
why not?
Yeah. Yeah. So now the most famous ghost of this hotel is of a young man named Harvey, which the ghost hunters had someone go and do research on it. They actually found out that that's not his real name. Like this was a real person, but they kept his name private for the family's sake. So they still call this spirit Harvey.
Okay.
So the story goes that Harvey was there, during the college. He was going to college there, and his girlfriend broke up with him or something along those lines. He had a broken heart, so he went behind the school to the cliffs and took his own life.
Oh.
So it turns out that a young man did indeed die like that, although some people think that maybe he didn't take his own life, but he was actually murdered.
Okay, like pushed. Okay.
Well, so they think it kind of looks like that they said that he was shot and then fell from the cliff, or maybe he jumped from the cliff. And the thing is they thought he was found right away, but actually it was almost 6 months before he was found because it was winter time. So I don't know if maybe
and this was what, nights-ish, early
1960 something, or
60s. Okay.
Yeah, 1966 to 1970.
College. Oh, okay. So that's interesting.
Yes. So he died in the winter and he wasn't found until the summertime. So it appears that Harvey is seen all around the resort. And I guess in that theater, people, mainly women, have reported feeling someone touch them and pinch them. So they think he's kind of a flirt. And I was like, I mean, pinching's not really flirty, but okay.
Right. It's kind of just mean and annoying, if anything.
Yeah.
But to each their own.
I guess so. I would be like, listen, dude, it is the 21st century. We don't pinch women anymore.
Yeah. You don't need to do anything near me, actually. So just if you're a ghost, please.
Listen, you can tap on my shoulder, make a little noise. I don't care. But if you pinch me, we're going to have issues.
Then I'm just going to be pissed.
So it's said that he's also seen around the cliffs where he died. And there's also a room, which of course I forgot to write down the number when I was watching the show, that's supposed to have a lot of activity to it. And while Ghost Hunters Taps was there, the owner told them about how he was sleeping in there one night when he kept hearing noises in the bathroom. And eventually he started hearing a buzzing noise. And when he went in there to look, his electric shaver had turned on. Yeah.
Okay, that's freaking weird.
Right? So
something that clearly has to be touched to be turned on. Right.
Yeah. And so speaking of that, so Jay, who's the head person, right? It was Jay and Grant in the beginning, and then Grant left and it was just Jay with the other people. So Jay actually decided to stay in the room that night. After they had done all their investigating and stuff, they all went to bed. They got to stay in rooms, but he stayed in that room specifically. And he had a camera set up so it was pointed towards him in the bed and stuff like that. And you actually see the camera in the room kept trying to refocus as if someone was moving and walking around.
Yeah.
Jay is just laying still in bed. But he gets up because he keeps hearing noises. He hears movement in his bathroom.
I don't know if I'd go look after it, but I guess when that's the purpose that you're there.
Right.
Different story.
So I guess the way his room is set up, he kept talking about how he could hear people moving and walking behind the headboard, the wall of his headboard, which I guess he said there is a stairway there, but it wouldn't make sense. It was such an empty place. This place is fairly big, I think.
Yeah.
He was probably one of the few people, and it's probably, it's just Taps, and there's, probably one or two staffers, maybe.
Yeah.
So there's no reason there shouldn't be a bunch of people walking in the hallway, talking and stuff like that. And then one of the best things that I felt for this whole show, they cut a few cool things that I'll talk about, but this was the most oh my God, one is Jay's laying in bed, and all of a sudden the bedside lamp on the other side of the bed from what he's laying on, you hear it even the lamps that you have to either twist and they click or you push and they click, you hear it click and the lamp turns on. And
creepy.
Jay shoots up and he's looking, he's hello, whatever. And he goes and you can hear him have to push it and click it again to turn it off. And he was the light bulb wasn't loose. There was nothing like that. It had to have been physically. And it was one of them that's up underneath, the light tubes, not
so it's
down
not
at the
it could have
base.
just, moved on its own or got bumped on its own.
It's up right under, you sticking your hand up underneath the lampshade to get to it even.
That's wild. And they got that on tape too.
They got that on camera.
That's crazy tape.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. What year is this? 1982 tape. Did they get that on tape? Sorry. That was a weird thing to say, but
I knew what you meant. It's fine. But yeah. So I thought that was like, that one was like, okay, that's really cool.
How can you argue that? I mean, that's
right. And like I said, like I've said this before, but Ghost Hunters has always been my favorite one because while I believe in the supernatural and stuff, I think so many of these shows just hype things up and do things to like, you know, and like Taps is like, and Taps, they try to debunk things. Like throughout the entire show, they try different things to recreate some of the stuff that people say they've seen and felt to see if there's an explanation for it. And I just love that. I think that's such a great way to kind of go about that.
Yeah.
Another ghost is that of a young girl named Lucy. And the story is that she took ill and her parents left her there to attend some business in Detroit and that she died while they were gone.
Cool, just leave your kid there. It's fine. And she's sick. No big deal. But,
no big, you know. It's fine.
Yeah, well, no wonder she's probably pissed and like, I mean, maybe she's a nice ghost, but I mean, either way, I'd sound be pissed.
Like, so when Taps is investigating, I don't think they could really find anything about that because obviously this has been around for so long. So people have died here.
Right.
Because it's so old. Also, if this is a sacred Indian burial ground, I highly doubt that they checked where they were building things.
No.
And, like, you know there are things built.
Like burial grounds. And, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like that's 99% of these kind of cases. It's always like, well, where was this building? And So, yeah, that's definitely fair. Because that's generally what a lot of the cases are. And they pissed.
Right. Understand, but like, what the
Which
fuck
is
you
fair.
mean you're building on top of my grave?
Hey, so rude. You want to do that shit anywhere else here? Like, you know, clearly this is where people are buried. Maybe let's not build right over the top of it.
Let's not do that. Thank you.
Probably the best idea. Best practice would be,
I don't know, you know, maybe just a little bit.
Yeah.
How you get ghosts. You want ghosts? That's how you get ghosts.
That's true. If you're looking for a ghost, that's your sign there.
That's how you do it.
My gosh.
I don't think Taps like found anything to like completely corroborate that, like I said. Because there was also because there was also like they said they thought there was they see a spirit that's in a black robe. They thought it was a judge, and they're like, couldn't find anything like that. But if it was a college, maybe it was professor. Like who knows?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
But I guess the little girl also tends to approach women more. And so while several of the investigators were in this theater, they were trying to talk to her and stuff like that. And you could hear, they did catch on tape, it sounded like a kind of excited exclamation. Like it wasn't a word, but it was like a, you know, like they were like, oh, can you let us know, are you here? And it was like,
like
a little girl
giggle.
being,
or something.
Yeah, so that was interesting. And also in the theater, Steve and Tango caught voices on a recording, but it was so quiet. Like it sounded like a man's voice, but you couldn't really make anything out. And that was one in the theater too. People say they see the curtains moving a lot on their own. So that was one they were like, okay, if we open and close this door, does it affect this? Does it move this?
Yeah.
And they were like, no, it doesn't. Anyone who has done any sort of like high school theater stuff, you know those curtains are heavy.
Very heavy. Yeah.
And so like it would still take a good amount. And like they were like, okay.
I like that they do try all the things to like disprove or, you know, because otherwise it's like, it's easy to just say, oh yeah, they moved on their own. But it's like, okay, can we see like what would happen if you were to move them versus the wind, you know, like that's
exactly
much more believable. Yeah.
Yes. And so like one thing that they did actually kind of debunk was there was an area, like they went through several different areas in this place that are supposed, you know, obviously the whole place is. And so there's another area where a lot of people talk about how they hear voices coming from this room and no one's there. Well, while they're in there investigating, they hear it. And so they go in to investigate. Well, they're like servers, like I think like computer internet server type things, you know, and they said that as it's running, it does make noises that like they even recorded it. So when you played it back, it does sound like people are in that room talking almost like that muffled, like when you can kind of hear people but not make it out.
Yeah.
So they were like, this is probably what the people are hearing.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, at least they were able to like debunk that.
Yeah. And then like one of the other like kind of big noises that they got is Jay and Grant were in this other room and they're talking, obviously trying to get any spirits to communicate with them, and you hear a door slam shut. Now, it was just them. They went and they looked at the door that it was. Like, there was no way to, like, it couldn't have accidentally blown open on its own, all that. So they did that, and they were like, they had no explanation for that one. Like, they tried several different things to recreate it.
Yeah, and
they couldn't. Yes.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say one thing about this episode. So it came out in 2011, and at one point when they are in this area, Jay is trying to get Harvey to make some sort of contact with him, and I hated this because he tells Harvey that taking his own life is the coward's way out, and I was like, that's gross. I was like,
don't do that.
Yeah.
And that's like, yeah, you're just asking for bad.
Well, and so that's one of those things I'm like, I would hope, because we know mental illness is a real thing. There are things that we can't do. And I would hope nowadays, that wouldn't be said. And I don't know if he was saying it to just try to provoke him.
Yeah. I wish he would have like prefaced with that then, like, I don't actually mean this, but like, yeah.
And, but like, also, if we are trying to provoke, I think that's one of the dumbest things people do when they're trying to get, especially spirits that like they know can, like, Harvey has never, like, no one said anything about him being violent or anything, so I also don't know why we're trying to provoke him.
Why would you start that? Like, why? No.
But, like, the people who do it with any spirits, especially spirits that are said to be like a little more malicious, so I'm like, why are we trying to antagonize the spirit?
And it's like, you're not really helping yourself in that situation, because then anything that happens to you is kind of like, you brought that upon yourself. You know what I mean? Like, that's no, and just let them be. Like, if they're gonna just do like these little things like turning on the lamp and that kind of shit, like, cool. But why are you trying to get him pissed off? And also, why are you giving your opinion on that? So,
so, like, let's not fuck around and find out with spirits, okay?
Yeah.
But, you know, so that was, I mean, like I said, it was a little bit like, I still think the episode was fun to watch. They did catch a few things and stuff like that. So overall, I really do think this hotel and really the whole island is one that we should add to that Midwest ghost tour road trip we want to do one day.
Yeah, for sure. Because that's like not that far. I mean, it's close enough within driving distance, obviously. But yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, short episode here, y'all. But I just like, this was kind of a fun one to check out. Like, yes, some of these spirits, like, why they're there isn't fun. You know, it's a little, sad. The only one we really know is Harvey is real. You know, his story is real, but we don't know really the whole story behind that either way. So, I mean, like, for his sake, I just hope that if Harvey's chilling there, that he's just like, I'm having my best afterlife. You know,
like I'm just people are coming to visit this place, and it's, just
maybe he's enjoying the attention now. He's like, look at this.
Yeah.
People are coming here just for me.
Yeah, my name's not actually Harvey, but feel free to call me that, guys. Yeah. Until these assholes come in, and then they're like trying to say mean things to me, and I actually did not even kill myself. I was murdered. I mean, you just don't even know.
You don't even know. You don't even know.
You don't. So,
but yeah. So
those are always kind of fun, and especially because it wasn't like a scary, I mean, in the sense of like a violent,
right?
Like, I don't want to. Yeah, it sounds like kind of just a fun-ish.
It just sounds like a few spirits that are lingering for whatever reason. No one sounds mean or violent. No. Yeah, it's not like one of those where they're like, "Is this a demon entity?" Like, I don't want to.
This one just sounds like fun. Like, I mean, if they're not causing any harm, I wouldn't be freaked out by a lamp turning on. I'd kind of be like, hey, like, hi, whoever's here,
It would startle me if you're in the middle of the night and all of a sudden a lamp's turning on, you're gonna jump. But it's like that.
But if nothing else, like, negative has like happened to you, then I'd be like, okay, well, it is what it is. But,
it is like that time. I've told you about that time when I first moved to Omaha in my apartment and my TV turned on at like 5 a.m. on its own.
That happened in an apartment. I had a kitchen light turn on, and it was the one that you had to slide it to the side. Yeah. And I was like, I woke up because the light was shining in my eyes. So, yep. I moved the hell out of that place pretty quick. But
that place I lived in for a while, but like I never fully unpacked. I lived out of boxes, and so my remote, it was one of those like old school, like super boxy, like 12-inch TVs with a built-in VCR.
Yeah,
and so because my remote was packed away somewhere, I always just left it on. Like Nick at Night was still a thing, and so I would just push the button on the TV. Like, you had to push the button on the TV.
Yeah.
To do any of the things, and it was on a different channel, and the volume was all the way up. Scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
But after that, I told, because my roommate at the time had moved in before me, and she was like, hey, heads up, pretty sure we've got something here, because she'd come home sometimes and our kitchen cabinets would be open, or like we were on the 3rd floor and like the balcony door would be open.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I just got to the point where I was like, hey, I get that maybe you want to just know that we're here, but like what you did scare me. Like I was asleep, that was loud. It was very
Right.
startling. If you want my attention, can we maybe find a better way? And after that, like I always had closed my bedroom door because again, it was a mess.
Yeah.
And I'd come home sometimes and my bedroom door would be open and my TV would be on, but it was nowhere near as loud. And I would just be like, hey, I know you're here. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. You know, and I would just talk to them every now and then. And it would just be those little things that never happened in the middle of the night like that again. And it never happened while I was home. I would come home to it.
Yeah. That's crazy. I moved out of the place that happened because I had some other weird stuff happen too. That I was like, yeah, no, why, nope. But
actually, it's kind of funny that we say this because this morning, because the kids were off, I decided to sleep in and they were both up and just doing their own thing, like their schoolwork and stuff. And my bedroom door was closed and I heard knocking on my bedroom door. But like, you know, when someone does playfully, when they're like double knocking with their hands and like that uneven rhythm, it was like that. So I thought it was one of the kids. And I was like, yeah, come in. Nope. I'm pretty sure I'm like fairly certain I actually have like a little spirit here. I think it's like a 10 to 12-year-old girl who every now and then likes to do a few things. And I was like laying there, I was like, listen, I'm sleeping in. It is 8:30. I'm going to sleep longer. So if you think I need up, you're wrong.
Yeah. Nope. This is a snow day. You need to go back to sleep too. Go away.
I'm like, no, girl,
not today.
I am sleeping. But Wick was on the bed with me and he didn't even like lift his head or anything.
Interesting. He's like, nah, not today. I'm sleeping in too. So
yeah, he's like, no, it's cold. We're cozy. Thank you.
Thanks, but no thanks. Yeah, totally. That's funny.
Yeah. So yeah,
that's a fun one. I like those. Those are like
Point Resort.
A nice light change of pace. And
exactly.
I just love that it's called a resort, you know, because it makes me think of like, you know, Cabo, somewhere down here on this beach. And it's like, oh, no, just Michigan. No.
It's an island on Michigan. And it's not even like, I don't even know if they actually have a beach. You know what I mean?
Right.
I feel like it's more like cliffs and bluffs stuff.
Yeah. So that's actually just funny because it makes you think of something very like exotic, but you're like, oh, wait, no, we're just in Michigan.
It's just Michigan on a lake.
The frozen tundra and, you know, it's fine. But in the summer, I'm sure it's a hot spot, you know?
It is. I guess they're known for having like bomb fudge there or something. So
I like fudge.
Okay, same. Who doesn't?
Why not? Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. That's fun. Okay, well, I mean, I don't know if it'll be like my top vacation spot to hit, but I would go there on a little road trip with you.
I would for sure too. And again, I would definitely more so try for off season because I'm sure like prices are going to be better and also like less crowded. I hate a crowd.
I was
and
just
if we're on an island
that.
together, I don't want to be on an island with a bunch of people I don't
know.
And
if you are trying to experience some of that paranormal aspect, like you're gonna have a better chance with less people. So
exactly. Yeah, cool. So yeah, we one day that'll go to our road trip, and one day when our podcast hits it big and we can like have that money to do that stuff, and like we can go to each place and do episodes from those places.
Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be so fun? Maybe
that
someday.
Would be amazing. Yeah,
we can just manifest that now.
Yeah,
it's fun. Yeah,
put that out there and be like, yeah.
Yep. There you go. That's what we're shooting for.
So you guys can help us out by liking, rating, reviewing, sharing, following, all those fun things.
Yeah, exactly. That ties in perfect to where we're going here. Yes.
Yeah. This way, we can be picked up by like Wondery or something, know?
Oh, that would be so cool. Yeah, that's the goal. So please and thanks.
Yeah.
And share any paranormal stories you guys have that you want us to share. So because that's fun.
Yeah, we always love that. So send us your paranormal. Have you been to Mackinac Island? Did you experience anything? Like, just all the things.
Yeah, we would love that.
Always.
Perfect.
Yeah. So until next time, stay heartland kind,
but darkland wary.